for news that's short, sharp and
Are
shrewd.
you talking about the podcast or me?
Both.
Backhanded compliment.
This is Up Late with Ben Harvey. Some big bucks being thrown around at the moment.
There are about a half a dozen financial transactions going on at the moment, which I want to take a closer look at. Scott Morrison's involved in two of them. He's in town, as we all know. On Wednesday night, he's going to attend a Liberal Party fundraiser at which wealthy people will pay up to $14,000 to have dinner with him. Does away with the inconvenience of going through official public sector channels, which are there to stop Prime Ministers becoming political whores.
14 grand. Want to be a good dinner.
Comes with a live show.
Take me to the April sun in Cuba. Oh.
Never gonna get old. We don't know much about the dinner other than seats are limited to 10 and it's somewhere on Murray Street in the city. It's sport for choice, if you like eating crystal meth. ScoMo's being sold for $4 grand more than John Howard and Malcolm Turnbull when they were campaigning in Perth. He's bending over for a few pieces of silver 10 days after aspiring Specsavers model Anthony Albanese was in town to grab his ankles and take one for Labor. Albanese brought his new blue steel look to his own special fundraising dinner.
So hot right now. Cancel.
Guests in the downstairs cellar of Steve's Hotel in Nedlands included Nigel Satterley, Ben Wyatt and serial Perth dealmaker Michael Angie. Don't know how much they paid to be there or whether Anthony charged them by the hour.
You've got a real beef with these fundraisers.
I do. I don't believe institutionalised cash for access is a good thing for democracy. Neither do the politicians. But if taxpayers aren't going to pick up the bill for an election campaign, who will?
One fundraiser with my pals. You'll never need another cent.
If these people aren't giving money to Albanese and Morrison, how do you stop someone who doesn't need to fundraise from buying an election?
ScoMo's talking up the money he's spending down at Henderson.
Never thought I would hear Scott Morrison talk about how he loves docking. But there you go, the things we do for votes, Scotty. A small portion of our audience might get that joke, otherwise everyone else can Google it.
Best they don't.
And can I just clarify, it's not his money, it's our money. And we're meant to be thankful that we're getting some of it back. The Libs are talking up a new dry dock at the Henderson Marine Complex south of Perth. It's a serious bit of engineering, allows you to get very big vessels completely out of the water so you can work on them efficiently, costing $4.3 billion. The Libs are hoping we're so transfixed by that figure and the 2,000 jobs it may sustain that we forget that WA got completely screwed on the submarine deal. The South Australians living in Nigel Satterley's latest estate being the beneficiaries there. The new dry dock is good economic policy. It's also good for national security because the Royal Australian Navy is about to get very busy picking up the pieces from the fights Morrison is picking with China and Russia.
Son, your ego is writing checks your body can't cash.
You know, it's not just politicians picking fights with Putin.
Check out this TV producer.
Сотрудничество в рамках союзного государства, а на совещании в правительстве обсуждали...
Crashes Russia's official state TV nightly bulletin waving an anti-war placard. Marina Ovsyannikova, now broadcasting from a Siberian gulag, gets sick of Putin's propaganda, records a video message saying what is going on in Ukraine is a crime, and storms the set of Russia's Channel 1.
Brave.
Marina Stan, and good on her for that, comes as another dodgy financial transaction is taking shape in that part of the world. The Russians are threatening to repay their foreign debt in rubles instead of American dollars, rubles being worth slightly less than rocks at the moment. Putin is saying, well, if you insist on trade sanctions, that's your choice, but it means I can't sell you oil and gas, so I won't have the Benjamin Franklins to repay what I owe you.
What happens then?
If Russia defaults on its debt, the country's entire financial system could collapse. This happened in 1998, around the same time Russia was trying to occupy Chechnya.
You have got to stop.
Its economy was faltering under the weight of an expensive military operation in a foreign country. Russia, are you seeing a pattern?
It's all connected.
There was a bit of goodwill at that time because the country was a fledgling democracy after the collapse of the Soviet Union. Plus, everyone likes a president who's routinely drunk by noon. That goodwill has evaporated because Vladimir Putin is no Boris Yeltsin, and there probably won't be an international lifeline through something like the IMF, which means Russians get poorer. Hopefully they blame Putin and chuck him out, otherwise the West is going to have to deal with another strongman leader with angry, hungry citizens, which always ends well for the world.
Won't have money for his lawyers either.
The MH17 thing. Australia and the Netherlands have banded together to take legal action against Putin because his army fired that missile at that Malaysian Airlines plane back in 2014. We think a guy who bombs a maternity hospital is going to respond to a summons and turn up at court. And not just any court, not The Hague. No, this action has been lodged with the International Civil Aviation Organisation. You could have the best lawyer in the world.
You're in luck.
But they won't get $1 out of Russia.
Hard to find a good barrister.
Or barista. Nice assist. 90 grand to make coffee in Broome. And I thought Scott Morrison was the most obvious sign of the country's skill shortage. The Good Cartel drive-through is offering $92,030 for a barista, $100,000 for kitchen staff.
I wonder if they accept lumberjacks.
This is infuriating financial transaction number 5. I don't know how the CCC or the Public Sector Commission defines the word bribe or kickback, but this has got to be close. The McGowan government is giving the Australian Workers Union $200,000 to provide advice and support to people who will lose their jobs because of the Labor Party's decision to end old growth logging. There's something smelly when one of the unions likely to embarrass Mark McGowan by reminding him that during the last election he never told voters about the impending logging ban, getting $200,000 from that government.
It's not a bribe.
Of course it's a bribe.
One of the unions that financially supports the WA branch of the Australian Labor Party is getting a $200,000 grant from the parliamentary wing of the WA branch of the Australian Labor Party.
It's not a bribe.
And they will use this money to convince forestry workers that the feeling of being rogered by McGowan was actually all in their imagination and everything is in fact just fine.
I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. I sleep all night and I work all day.
Because Manjimup has other industries crying out for workers. That was a joke.
Do I have to remind you about the last time you made a joke about Manjimup?
Went on holiday.
Yeah, right. What's going on with that holiday camp in Bullsbrook?
Well, that's the final ridiculous piece of the financial pie being served on tonight's Up Late. The Federal Quarantine Hub at Pearce Air Base, a $300 million facility deemed critical for the safety of WA, is going to be open for business just when nobody needs to isolate. 1,000 beds, 500 were meant to be delivered now, when we don't need them, but delayed until July, when we really don't need them.
It's only money.
I'm Ben Harvey. If you'd like to watch Up Late with me, Ben Harvey, search for The West Australian on YouTube.